The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads Radio. Sackheads Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Welcome to Clint. Wait, no.
Hey, welcome to the Clint Head Radio Show.
Is that
Clint?
Clint?
Sack Clint Radio? Clint Sacks Radio.
Clint Sack Radio?
Perfect. I like it.
Yeah, is that what?
Yeah, close enough. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show, folks, ladies and gentlemen. 21st of March, 2018. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SHR Media Network. We are live on Facebook, YouTube. We're back. We're back. And, of course, Spreaker. You can find us at all the great bathroom walls all over the country. Names written all over the place. Lot to talk about this week. First and foremost, let's go around the room. Sitting off to my left, a guy who is just wearing his glasses and nothing else this evening. Nice prescription. Of course, is the one and only Big Nose himself, Sackhead Clint.
That's not true. Everybody can see I have a sweatshirt on. It's just that I'm missing my pants.
Well, you're not missing them.
No, I actually...
he knows exactly what
I folded them nicely and left them...
Yeah, I was going to say, there was no missing involved with that.
No, you're right.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just want...
But now, just so everybody's clear, so you know, I actually put one of those paper ass gaskets on my chair before I sat down. That
Which
way
is very respectful of you.
Right, if anybody sits down next to me, use my studio space or whatever,
right.
Because I have, of all the tech I have here at my space.
They're safe.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's very sanitary of him.
It
very
is
sanitary.
absolutely
and
very sanitary.
Commendable.
And because it's a full chair, there's no opening in the middle. I actually left the center part,
which is appropriate.
It is appropriate, right?
You don't want to drag anything.
No.
Off to his right is the furriest man in radio.
My
of
left.
course, my right, his left.
Yeah.
The furriest man in the radio, the one and only Beloviating Zeppelin, Sackhead BZ. Good evening, sir.
BZ.
Hi, kids.
How are you?
Doing spectacularly well.
Do you have anything about a paper ass gasket or anything like that?
No, when I sat in my chair, there was no ass gasket, and there was no whoopee cushion. There was no fake dog turd.
This week.
This week.
It wasn't
Right.
fake.
Thank you for stipulating this week.
You're welcome.
Now, BZ, are you insinuating that Clint and I harass in some way the elderly? Because I resemble that remark. And,
the blatant bigot definitely resembles that remark. But we have a very strict EEO policy.
Very strict
here
indeed.
at the SHR Media Network.
Very strict.
And in particular at the Sackheads Radio Show.
Well, yes.
It is very, very strict.
Right.
Paul, we have a zero
Probably
tolerance.
the strictest in California.
Which makes
That's
it
pretty strict.
Which makes it the strictest in the universe.
Well, doy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a zero tolerance policy for discriminating against old people, sick people, retards. I mean, we have just a very strict policy.
Are you trying to indicate that I fall within each
of
of
those categories?
Yes.
Categories. Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
It's always good to know where I stand.
And
Thank
for
you.
our token elder special
Elder
needs
knee.
individual.
What is an
yeah.
elder knee? I have two elder knees, for God's sakes.
An elder knee is an elderly person with special needs, and it is actually shortened to elder knee. If you didn't know that, it's in the Sackheads dictionary.
It most certainly is.
Yeah, and in your contract, BZ,
yes.
I encourage you to turn to page 8, paragraph 3C, and it says specifically what elder knee is.
That's
and as a matter
on
of fact,
that's
you
on the back of the.
You initialed that you, in fact, are an elder knee.
And BZ, just so you know, page 3 is actually the back of the Starbucks napkin.
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah. And page 7 is the back of Sean's penthouse
Right.
brochure from when you went shopping.
Well, yeah, when I
for
was
homes.
looking for homes at one time. Right.
Now,
Well, I'm glad.
I want to show this because this is a visual. This is why, folks, you watch Sackheads on Facebook and why you watch Sackheads on YouTube. I have in my hot hands right here
Yes.
the actual copy
Yes.
of the contract that I signed.
Yes.
And I want to show you people. Watch me.
Whoa! What do you mean, you people?
No,
Right.
you
Are
people
you
that
trying?
are watching.
Are you trying
The
to?
people that are
No, I know
watching.
what you meant, BZ. Listen, just because you're old doesn't mean that
You can get away
all-
with it.
Yeah, that you
Right.
get all Gran Torino.
First of
I
all,
under-
that role has been taken in this room.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, it's Sean's role. Second of all, I understand that maybe you were a slaveholder at some point because you've been around so long.
Or you
And-
most likely
and,
knew
yeah,
somebody who was.
Or yes,
At your age.
At your age. But listen, we don't do that around here. So you people is just an inappropriate. Sean, I'm just a gas that. I'm at a loss.
I am.
Well, first he mentions ass gaskets. Now he's at a gas.
Yes,
He's out of gas. I don't get it. Anyway, I have before me in my once formerly nicotine-stained fingers.
Oh, very nice. Good reference.
This is the actual copy of the contract that you guys had me sign, and I want people to see. It's a visual. Look how many pages
Yes.
there
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
in this contract, and people think that you just pulled it out of your butthole somewhere. No, this is the real, honest to God.
Will buy coffee
contract.
is
Yeah.
actually one whole
It-
page.
It actually is about the type of coffee.
It goes page after page
After
after page
page
after
after
page.
page.
Yes.
Right here. So when I talk about my shameless contract, now everyone knows this is the motherfucker right here.
And I direct your attention to page 8, paragraph 3C. It's elder knee.
I don't
Should be
understand why this is so hard for you, BZ. I mean, at your age, I
Right. At
can.
your age, it
I
shouldn't
guess
be hard at all.
Well,
Don't
nothing
laugh.
should be.
That, folks, don't laugh about what Clint is saying. There is a page 8 on this, okay?
What?
There is
Yeah,
a page
what?
8.
It's weird.
Wow.
And unfortunately,
we must not have run out of crayons.
Clint actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
See, thank you very much.
You know, I hate to have to keep doing this live on the air, BZ. You know, I really wish you'd read the goddamn thing. Now, you know that
I'm well versed in it. There's some paragraphs that I think you guys aren't aware of yet, and I'm not saying a damn thing about them either.
I'm just gonna say the night that you passed out with the Kettle One bottle in one hand and a pen in the other, I didn't necessarily forge your name. It was your hand that did the writing.
And I'm a witness.
That's all that
I'm a
counts.
witness.
He attested. He
Yep.
attested.
Yep.
And it was the same Sharpie that we drew on your face with.
Do you know how long it took me to get that off?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the best part is you didn't start with what I told you to start with was use gasoline. It takes everything off. Just splash a little gasoline on the face.
It does.
Clears the pores too.
It does.
Gets rid of that oil. That's a good thing.
It does.
Oh, gentlemen, good
Hey,
evening.
just because I found, remember when Clint brought these? Okay.
Oh, are you
Yes.
are you complaining about the maid service?
No. I'm saying that just because I found this on the floor doesn't make it unedible, right?
No, you're good.
absolutely.
You're
Yeah,
totally
you're
good.
totally good.
Question.
You know what?
Question for you, Clint. Just for Clint.
Yes.
How
boy.
long ago
Oh, boy.
did you bring these so that we could eat them here in the studio?
Roughly 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. And this was on the floor.
Yes, it was.
And so you can.
Yep.
Solid
it's-
as a rock.
It's pretty solid.
Yep.
Don't do it.
Absolutely.
Please don't do it.
Do it. Yes.
Oh no! Shit!
Yes.
Shit! You did it. He
Yes.
did it.
I did it.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Oh, help me.
what.
Oh God. Nothing.
Still pretty good too.
So hang on a second. Did we just witness the birth of a new segment? Did we just witness the birth
And
of a BZ food challenge?
I know what you're gonna call it too.
Seg-
Yep.
Yes.
Will BZ put that in his mouth?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, you
Bum,
just
bum,
witnessed Sackheads Radio.
Will BZ put this in his mouth?
Yeah. And then we're going to have to get a vote for whoever's in chat.
Right. Right.
And since I'm not wearing pants, listen, hear me out on this one.
Hey,
Right.
Speaking of chat. Do we
Who's
have
in
anyone in
chat?
chat at shrmedia.com?
We have Mike's in chat, so welcome to Mike. And Mary Brockman's
Welcome,
in chat.
Mike. Hi, Mary.
And
Mary!
let's see, a 12 Iggy Mom.
Oh, Iggy
Oh,
Mom.
Iggy Mom
We haven't
is
heard
in
from
chat.
Iggy Mom in a long time. It's so sweet of her.
And I'm in chat, except I haven't logged in with my name.
Well, I mean, whatever.
I don't count.
We don't have any guests.
Oh.
No
wait.
guests.
No guests. No guests. No guest numbers. It's slowing down. I don't like that.
I don't
God
like that.
damn it,
What
unnamed
the-
guests. Get into our chat room at shrmedia.com. Hey, we got a ton to talk about this week, and there's a lot of subjects we got to get to. It was a big news week. There's a lot going on, not only news of actual events, but politics and a couple other things. So I want to start off, though, and we're going to cover Austin. Obviously, there's a lot to go. There's a lot we don't know. And I want to talk about, with Austin, I want to talk about what I'm calling the Obama effect. And I want to do that after the break. But it's an interesting caveat to see how people react these days to these types of events. So I want to talk about that at 8:30. But going into it, BZ, you brought up a subject earlier before we go to the show that I hadn't heard yet. Clint, I don't know if you've heard this either. I'll title it, BZ, you run with it. Police officer sues the FBI over the Draw Mohammed contest. Have you heard about this?
No.
So you remember 2015 in Texas?
Yes, the motor officer that ended up
capping the two
smoking the terrorists, right? Yes.
Right. Pamela Geller was at an event. It was a Draw Mohammed contest. It was a free speech event,
Yeah.
which the administration at the time was totally against.
But tough shit.
But tough shit. And but as a result, these two guys drove over from Arizona with long rifles, and they were going to commit an attack on the event.
Right.
They were Islamic religion. They were Islamic terrorists. And
Yes.
I believe it was two separate officers that actually engaged them, and they killed the guys before they could hurt anyone else. They did an absolutely amazing job. Heroes to the very end.
Yep.
We applaud them. We
Yep.
applaud the lives they saved, and we applaud the fact that a guy with the gun was there to protect other people from other guys with guns. However, the story has taken an interesting twist. BZ, take it away.
Okay, now you're going to make me do this.
Oh, it's still in his mouth. Oh, yeah! Oh, this is radio at its finest, folks. He couldn't chew it. That's the best part of it.
You want me to talk now, right?
That's the second part of the segment. Will BZ keep it in his mouth?
Again, Clint has no pants.
Just a reminder, folks.
So there I was sitting in the house, and I'm watching a segment on Tucker Carlson. The security guard that was shot is suing the FBI because it turns out there's more to the story. Here's from Glenn Greenwald's The Intercept. And the headline goes, FBI had undercover agent at scene of Draw Mohammed shooting in Texas. When two men opened fire at the Draw Mohammed contest in a Dallas suburb in 2015, the FBI had an undercover agent on the scene, newly filed court documents say. On May 3rd, 2015, just like you said, two guys with armed rifles, a guy named Simpson and his roommate Nadir Sufi, they attacked that convention center in Garland, Texas, where Pamela Geller was going to be speaking.
Right.
And that was she'd organized the first annual Muhammad art exhibit and contest. So the two guys armed with guns, they shot a guard outside the convention center. That's the man that's suing, by the way.
Right.
And then they were killed in the parking lot by Texas police because they made a very serious mistake. That place was rife with lots of local police officers.
And it was in Texas.
And it was in
Well,
Texas.
Yeah, that's kind of a clue, too. Poor move, sorry. That's the Darwin effect. Hours earlier, the FBI sent a bulletin to local police with Simpson's photo, one of the guys that was shot and killed, one of the attackers, warning that he was interested in the event. Now, Director James Comey said in a press conference after the shooting that the FBI did not have reason to believe Simpson was planning to attack the event with this stipulation. He didn't say this, even though the Bureau had spent literally years trying to build a case against that guy, Simpson, that attacked the event. So there was an indictment filed, today, as a matter of fact, against Eric Jamal Hendricks, 35, of Charlotte, North Carolina, who allegedly recruited people online to join the Islamic State.
Nice.
And the affidavit says that an FBI undercover agent was at the Draw Muhammad event and was communicating with Hendricks about security there. The affidavit raises questions about whether the FBI knew or should have known that the event was a likely target of attack. Now, after I said that, you, Sean, made a very interesting and salient observation. And what was that?
I don't remember.
Way to nail it.
So anyone
What
who
you-
knows anything about surveillance will tell you this. In order for you to get a 24/7 tail, state, local, or federal government, the amount of resources alone that goes into that, you have to be some sort of, in this situation, imminent threat. It has to be imminent that the act that you're being watched on, unless it's a background and evidence building case, however, in this situation, I would guess that they would have to, they knew something was coming, which is why it was being surveilled. And these guys specifically were being surveilled for an extended period of time by the FBI. And it's weird how the Comey FBI has dropped. So where else have we seen the Comey FBI fail when it comes to a terrorist
I have
incident?
I have a better question. Where have we seen the Comey FBI succeed?
Right. I immediately go back to Boston, right? Tamerlan Tsarnaev, Russia called, said, hey, watch this guy. The FBI fucking blew it. So now,
Yeah.
Arizona, same thing. Now it looks
Wait
like
a
the
minute.
FBI was on the case.
We're not giving
sorta.
credence to Russia now, right? Because Trump's in.
Right.
Well, that means that we should have been giving credence to Russia.
We
Then.
did. We did.
We did.
Here on the Sackheads radio show.
We absolutely did.
Yes, we did.
I absolutely gave them credit for
Yes,
reaching
we
out to
did.
us.
So-
And especially because everyone knew at the time, Russia, I think it's the FPS, was not communicating regularly with the FBI. They
Yeah.
were at odds. There was a very, very tense situation. It was after the
we've-
whole reset button.
And we talked about how, hey, if the Russians reached out, like, that's a pretty big
Yeah,
deal.
especially to track one of their own, a Chechen, who's Russian, back into America. There was something wrong. And again, BZ, it seems.
Well, wait. I hope you're sitting down. There's more.
Pretty good at it right now.
In the affidavit,
He's on
there's-
an ass gasket.
There's a bunch
Yes.
of communication back and forth between that guy Simpson
Mm-hmm.
and the other undercover. Now, you tell me if this might be a little damning or perhaps of concern
Where's the text?
to either one of you. And they go like this. If you see that pig Geller, make your voice heard against her, Hendricks wrote to the undercover agent. Then he asked a series of questions.
Wait. The agent wrote that to the guy who actually ended up doing bad shit?
Simpson
Simpson wrote that to the agent.
undercover
Oh, God, that wrote
dude.
that to the agent.
So he
Okay.
thinks the undercover is doing surveillance for him prior to their arrival.
Bingo, because here come more texts.
God, it's like
and
I'm
he,
good
and
at
he
this.
says he asked the agent a series of questions to try to gauge security at the event there. So they are,
45.
how big is the gathering? How many people? How many police agents? Do you see feds there?
That's funny in itself, but it's not funny, but it is funny.
It is funny because the terrorists know that the feds are typically so freaking incompetent they can't be incognito anyways.
They were like, hey, listen, we're not worried about the Fed. But honestly, so the FBI agent is now doing counter surveillance. Even if he's feeding him false information, he's active enough in this investigation against this guy who knows this guy is en route, and he's doing surveillance for him or
Well-
asking him counter surveillance
And
questions.
they're building a case on this guy Simpson.
Did he feed him false information, though? Or did he answer the question?
Right. But either way,
The affidavit states the FBI was aware that Hendricks and Simpson were in contact to some degree. In fact, according to the document, Hendricks had made an online introduction between Simpson and the undercover agent and was the nexus between them. As a result of that introduction, Simpson and the undercover agent corresponded online. After Simpson posted a link to the Draw Muhammad event, the undercover agent wrote, "Tear up Texas."
FBI, fucking big idiots. Now listen.
Yep.
Look, if you're the FBI agent at that point and you've been following these guys, you know this guy's case history. You know they've been trying to build a case against this guy now for years.
That's like looking at a jumper and being like, yeah, hey, I bet you won't do it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that he doesn't know how gravity works. You're fine. You're fine, buddy. Go for it. No,
Simpson
You
told-
should just
but
end
wait,
it now.
my problem is if you are an FBI agent and you're feeding this information, I understand undercover operations. I understand not having to burn a resource. I understand that when you're grooming a suspect like that, it takes a long period of time and resources. However, anybody with half a clue will tell you that the questions being asked, I know, show that a potential imminent threat is coming. when do you then turn around and either contact your supervisor or the supervising police officer on scene that says, hey, bad things be coming?
There are answers to that, and
Okay.
I'll get to that.
Thank God I asked
And
the
when I
fucking
tell you
things.
that, you'll probably, Sean, go, okay, right, yeah. And I know you will. I definitely know you will. But before we get there, so the violence was already inherent. So Simpson is writing, bro, you don't have to say that. You know what happened in Paris, I think? Yes or no? So he's talking about violence, okay?
Right.
To me,
Bataclan
that's pretty
shooting.
damn clear. And
Bataclan
then-
shooting, Texas.
Right.
France.
The agent responds. So that goes without saying, Simpson says. Okay, so Simpson told the undercover agent that he'd been a Muslim for 11 years already. So there's that nexus as well. And yet, this information, as you indicate, was not made clear, which is why the surviving security guard is suing the FBI for this information.
Oh,
Security-
okay.
security
So it's
guard?
a security guard
Security
that
guard
was
or the-
hired
or the
outside the
cop?
police officer.
He was the guy that got shot.
Okay.
So not the cop.
No. He's
Security guard.
I misunderstood at the beginning then.
No, the cop is this doesn't involve that. This involves the guy that got shot.
Right.
The only guy that got shot.
There was a private
other than
security
the-
guard that took around.
Other than the two
During the
suspects
incidents,
that
right.
were killed. This is the guy, the security guy, who is a former cop. He's older. He's a retired cop. And so he's suing the FBI. His attorney was on with Tucker Carlson. But
Was Talker pro suing FBI or was he anti suing FBI?
he was saying essentially that if they screwed up and they've been setting a very unsettling trend these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad Congress will never have the sack to freaking get rid of them, defund them.
Well,
But
so-
I can tell you, having worked in these venues before, why the FBI and generally federal agencies don't back off of this stuff. Because of the AUSA. This is a given in every district. Every AUSA wants to be a federal judge or a magistrate.
I don't think so.
I'd say that a good portion of them do, and that's an appointment for life. They can't take any case, and they're judged on their cases, their wins, their losses. So they're going to push stuff as much as they possibly can to get as much as they possibly can. And you cannot convince me that this doesn't have, because AUSAs work very closely with the agents when they're in the process of trying to make a case.
I'm going to go a different route, Clint.
and
Go ahead.
frequently micromanage cases.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame the AUSAs. I do know that they are very involved in their cases. However, I have to pin this square on the FBI.
Well, yes.
I have to pin it
Yes,
square on the
and
FBI.
that. Yes.
And look, the FBI.
I can throw this away, right?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're not done with it,
For the
son.
next round,
Sorry, go ahead.
the FBI has their hands in everything.
Yes.
You look at an active shooter event or a killer or any type of insert incident that makes any kind of news.
Look at Austin.
And there's the FBI.
Look at Austin.
Look what happened here in California and Napa.
Yes.
Why was the FBI anywhere fucking near that scene?
Well,
anyways, I digress. So, my only point is this: they stick.
I'm sure
their,
they argue because it's a federal facility.
No, it's not. It's a fucking state
it's a
facility.
state
Asshat, clown,
it's a
mother.
state facility.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a fucking state facility.
But they're starting to
Yeah.
they're starting to hide under the hole because it got federal money at some point. We're showing up, and it's wrong.
It's 100% wrong. But the FBI sticks their nose into absolutely everything. And look, there are certain cases that, yes, there is a federal nexus. You need state or local support. Absolutely. There are certain state cases that may have a federal nexus where there are those resources that are needed. Absolutely. That is usually not the case.
Agreed.
And so I understand the FBI and the nexus in this particular case to terrorism. I get it. Nothing against that. What I do have, again, I don't have all the facts, so I am going to say that I do not have all the facts in this case. But it seems that once again, the FBI has dropped the ball. It seems to me that when they are supposed to do something, they fuck it up.
Right.
And when they're not supposed to do something,
They fuck it up.
They fuck it up.
And what do you
or
know?
piss people off, or a combination of
And
the
what
two.
do you know about the FBI and its communication with other agencies? What's the
It
axiom?
sucks.
You don't talk to the locals.
Well, and here's what I think, and maybe I'm wrong.
Or when you do talk to the locals, it's to get everything that you need.
right,
and
it's one way.
It's one way.
It's one way, baby.
Absolutely.
So here's what I think, and maybe I'm wrong. I think it comes down to political fucking correctness. I bet you somewhere they were told, hey, we have to wait till they do something, because if we don't and we're wrong,
You're profiling.
we're profiling.
Back
and we're
then?
anti-Muslim.
Under that administration?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I absolutely believe that hands were tied.
Look at the administration.
Yeah, hands were tied. I mean, look at, you're talking about an administration. And I'll talk about this when we after we cover the beginning of the Austin incident. But you talk about an administration that wouldn't come out and call the Pulse nightclub shooter an Islamic terrorist until the 911 call was released, where he's pledging to ISIS and doing it in the name of Muhammad. And then they're like, well, he might have.
They never wanted to link the two words anyway, terror and Islam.
You look before that, the information that they were receiving, how many times they looked into the Pulse nightclub shooter, right?
Yep.
And you go back through non-Muslim targets of the FBI, and I'm not saying that they're wrong to be searching after certain people who are about to hurt people, but they have no problem when they went after people of the militia or this or that and the other thing, throwing it out there, the administration, oh, this is exactly what justice needs, and blah, blah. But as soon as it came to somebody who may have been Islamic or brown or off brown or light brown, well, we don't want to. We have to wait. We got to
Clint,
wait until we know all the
You
facts.
are going to love this. Iggy Mom in chat said the FBI isn't a constitutional entity,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes.
No, they're not.
They're not.
100% correct.
And I told her in chat, when I tell Clint that, he's going to like
He's
you.
going to go crazy.
100%.
Absolutely. And listen, the reality of the situation is we see more and more. This is the same FBI that didn't investigate Hillary.
And by the way, because I know somebody just paused in their Nike shoes as they were running an ambulance down the street.
Right.
Listen, the supremacy clause does not mean that the feds get to control fucking everything.
Yeah.
You ass clown.
No.
Okay? I love you, but you're an ass clown.
No, the
the supremacy clause means that the federal law is supreme over everything that the Constitution gives the federal government
Yes.
power for. Not everything in fucking general. God damn it!
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Is he clutching his heart saying, Elizabeth, it's the big one right about now?
When I was taught constitutional law, it was plain and simple. The federal government's the mothership in the sense of they can't provide you any less rights. And,
They don't provide rights at all, Sean. We know this.
well, but what I'm saying is they can't protect any less. States can give you more, but the federal government ensures that you don't get less. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't mean because the FBI is there that they get to run a scene. Look at what happened in Boston, and I bring this up again. There was arguments over who was going to be who was going to run the investigation until it was decided, oh, this must be terrorism.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
In Patriots Day,
Yes.
when the FBI team snipers crawl into position on the roof
Yes.
of the house, and they're both on
Yes.
gun. Perfect. And that old crusty Boston female copper is up there.
Framingham.
She clambers
She was a
over the
Framingham
top.
police
Right.
officer.
And she said, this is my post and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And they say, well, was that true?
Yes.
Because I want to meet her.
From everything I've heard, yes.
Just an old crusty.
I think if what I remember is right, she's from a city called Framingham, which, by the way, is like 25 miles outside of Boston. That's how far people were coming. And from everything I have been told personally from people that were there, yes.
That's so awesome.
Yes. Absolutely. But what happened...
That was I
That
have
made
to
me
admit,
smile.
that
you
was
watch
one
that
of my
movie-
favorite scenes.
Mine too.
If you watch that movie, and what you need to, if you want to understand the FBI, that movie was pieced together by Mark Wahlberg, by people that were in the room. His character was a made-up character, but everyone else there was legit. And you have a governor and an FBI who's afraid to call it terrorism too soon. That's a big sign. But we don't want to rush to call that. We don't want to rush to say anything. We're getting all this evidence. We don't want to rush to say anything just yet, because I guarantee you the administration had an order to downplay everything for as long as you possibly could. The administration at the time. We're up against a break. When we come back, we got to get into the Austin bombings. The suspect is deceased. We'll cover that and more. BZ?
With one quick thing.
Yes.
I have a story that we haven't covered yet that is going to turn both of your heads inside out.
We'll do a surprise segment at top of the hour, 2100. How about that?
It will turn the tops of your heads inside out.
Perfect. 2100 if you want to see my cranial gelatin. Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Cranial inversion.
Avulsion.
Just what tiny
Like
little what little skull I have. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be evil.
Like, what are you talking about? We can just, the last question, we cut a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Oh, God.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. 21st March 2018. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to go right down and start into the Austin bombings because, God, so much happened. Another device went off last night. Later in the night, the police who did an amazing job were able to track down the bomber, Mark Anthony Condit. There's been confusion if he's 23 or 24 years old. Local news sources are confirming 24, but I have yet to see the finalized version of that. Who led the police on a pursuit and then exploded one of his devices, or two of his devices, after he crashed. As police were approaching, no officers were hurt. One officer was knocked down from the concussion of the blast. Shots were fired, I believe, after the first shot explosion, before the second explosion. It's unknown if the police actually killed him or if the bomb itself did. Now, this is obviously on a series of bombings that took place in the Austin area. This Condit is from the general area. He lives in a house built by he and his father that was bought for him. He was a college dropout, from what I understand. He worked in computers for a while. Somebody said he was a computer expert. I've yet to be able to confirm that. And he was currently employed as essentially a shipping and receiving and buyer person for an electronics company, it looks like. And not much else is known about this guy. He was homeschooled, very low social profile. They got a picture from his mother's Facebook from about 6 years ago. His friends, neighbors said that it was a weird home with a lot of people coming and going as of late. Up all night. Sounds like he may have been a loner. No motive has been given. Again, first and foremost, hats off to the Austin Police Department.
Everybody did the job that they were supposed to do.
Absolutely. And especially...
That's how an investigation like that is supposed to go.
And it's... bombings are so much harder. Shootings, you know, you have people who are fleeing the scene. Yeah, you have some who get away, but you know, there's a lot more live evidence, if you will. Bombings like this, i.e. Ted Kaczynski and this sort of thing, there's so many levels of separation from the actual bomber to the explosion itself that it makes it very, very difficult. And again, they said pink gloves and a couple other things. It looked like he may have been wearing a wig when he went into the different mailing UPS stores and what have you.
Apparently when he went into FedEx, the disguise that he had was so obvious that a lot of people in there were thinking, what the hell is happening with this guy?
And it may have looked something like this.
Well, I don't know. I think it might have looked...
Yeah, that's right. Because
a little bit more like
maybe
this.
Yeah, he might have had a hat like that.
Something to that effect.
That was it.
Yeah.
It really, honestly, BZ, if you saw,
I'd like to mail this package.
But if you saw the pictures, BZ's photo look right now is not far away from what he has. And then if you look at the pictures of him online, it's not remotely close. You know, obviously, our thoughts and prayers to the people that were affected by this bombing. That whole area lived in fear to open your mail. I mean, think about that. You do that every day of your life. You go out. I mean, if you get deliveries from Amazon or any of those other places, you open it without thinking all the time. And once the serial bombing started, it really must be just frightening to not be able to open your mail. And of course, those who were killed or injured in the actual attacks themselves. Now, I bring up motive because we don't know what his motive is. Based on some of the Facebook writings of his mother, he was at least of some sort of maybe Christian faith when he was young, because she said he was considering going on a mission.
Yeah, apparently it was a fairly religious family. You know, it's like, stop. Does that really have anything to do with it? And I'm guessing the American media maggots are going to do their very level best to make sure that it's the religiosity of this guy that turned him into this crank.
Well, so I'm not going to add to or deny that, and here is why. A conversation I heard earlier today, they were talking about the fact that the White House wouldn't confirm or call this guy a terrorist. And I said, we don't know what his motive was.
You don't know.
We don't know.
Exactly.
Now, he could have been targeting 6 specific people. Maybe they found out something about him that he didn't want anyone to find out. Maybe he was quietly gay and didn't know, which was one of the ringings of the Pulse nightclub shooter.
You don't know yet. You just don't know.
But if he was targeting specific individual people versus an and just to shut them up versus an ideology, then it's a homicide bombing versus a terrorism incident. Now, if he was just randomly going after certain people because of their race, color, religion, then you could start throwing the word terrorism around because there's a political or religious ideology and he's doing it to shock the masses. That is almost the technical description of terrorism.
I'll throw this out there here too. In Sacramento County, when I was working homicide temporarily at the time, we had a guy called the Thrill Killer.
Yes.
Eric Leonard. Yeah, that's it. God, I actually remember his name, Eric Leonard. And he killed 2 people in a Pizza Hut on Watt Avenue and went to a Quickie Stop Mart on Auburn Boulevard and killed 2 more people. And I think his final body count was either 4 or 6 within a very short period of time. And we called him the Thrill Killer because he did it just because he could.
Right.
He was one of the
But you had evidence to support that.
Yes, there was evidence. We finally found photos of him wearing the same coat going into both places, and they finally found out who he was. He was the only person that I'd ever booked into the main jail when standing directly next to him. He's about 5'6", 5'7". You know how you customarily get vibes from people? This guy was sending out absolutely nothing.
Which is even strange.
He was a zero. He had zero effect. Zero anything.
It's so bizarre.
What do we know about this kid? Here's one thing I will throw out into the ozone that I think they will find later on. At most of the incidents, except for perhaps the very first one, he was somewhere in the area watching the response.
Right.
Because he enjoyed watching a massive scene full of
Something
lots and
he did-
lights.
Right. So
and a response
is
to
this
what
merely for
he'd
attention?
done.
Is this merely for attention?
We
Is
don't
it
know yet.
merely to say I did that?
I'm just gonna suggest that I get this funny little vibe thing that when all this crap was going on, he's somewhere around there watching.
Well, and so for me specifically, look, and I brought this up in the conversation I had today, but it comes down to quite simply, does it look, just based on what we've seen in the past with this type of incident, that there is some sort of political ideology? Okay, sure, maybe he is a terrorist. But we don't know. I can sit here and surmise as a pundit, as a commentator, all I want that, this is terrorism because, I believe that blah, 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 blah. But obviously law enforcement and the government has to be safe and responsible about the information they release. We saw in Vegas how sometimes too safe and responsible may not always be a good thing. Austin seems to be doing a lot. They came out today and said he recorded a 25-minute video confessing, did not give his ideology, but confessing to the bombings. He also, from what I understand, left a giant digital footprint. So hopefully, and if he's a computer expert, that's really bizarre that he would do that. But hopefully they'll be able to dig into that and find out more. Clint?
I have an idea. Maybe he's just fucking evil.
Well, and that's
I see what you did there.
Did you see what I did there?
Did you see what he did there?
No, I couldn't. His
Did you
nose was
see-
blocking it. What happened?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Clint, I saw what you did there.
Thank you, Easy.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Maybe he's just evil.
No, and
I mean, it could be for no other reason other than he's just an asshole.
Right. He may have a screw loose.
And the family. Oh, we have no idea what a dark place he must have been in. Yeah, fuck his dark place.
Yeah. Who
Listen,
cares?
I love my kids, But if any one of them were to ever go off the reservation and do something, and no, we're not Native American. The SHR media does not condone any type of instance about any type of racial. But if they go,
and he calls me the blatant bigot.
Yes. If they ever went off and did something as heinous and evil as this,
first one to turn him in.
I would love them as my child, but I would not support them. I wouldn't go out and be like, oh my gosh, my child must have been in such a dark place. I'd be no. My kid is 100% wrong.
Let me get my hands on him.
Yep.
I'll take it out of his ass in front of everybody.
Absolutely. Still love him, still my kid.
Right,
but I absolutely
justice
will not
needs
sit
to be
there.
served.
Yep, I will not sit there and try and justify it or
justice to those families, justice to the area. Justice needs to be served.
I will say that one of my, and I don't know why this strikes me as. Let me just get your take on it. Let me read this. Let me read this part of the story here. This is from the Fox News take on the story, and talking about the suspect had detonated the bomb inside the car as SWAT operators approached the vehicle, blasted them backwards, and one operator fired his weapon at the suspect. The police chief said that the county medical examiner has not finalized the cause of death, but that the bomb caused, quote, significant injuries. Is that freaking hilarious to anybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, not because this asshole died, but just because he blew himself up.
He died because of the V word. He got ventilated.
He blew himself up, causing significant injuries, and the medical examiner can't say what killed him?
The ME might be challenged in terms of...
The ME might be challenged?
Was it secondary fragments, or was it the bullet shot by...
Right,
was it the overpressure from the bomb?
Right.
Or was it, oh man.
Was it the bluebird? It was the bluebird of damn happiness.
I'm pretty sure
I give him credit, though, because look, this is what I was just bitching about a minute ago. Hey, look, I can't determine yet how this guy died, so I'm not going to say something.
You know what? A bomb blew his ass up. Pretty sure that was pretty significant.
I'd like to see that in the finding. He would have died in the field for reason of death. Bomb blew his ass up.
That would be perfect.
Right?
Right.
I mean, maybe a round hit him, but how do you know whether that round hit him post-mortem or not? Think about it. Boom,
forensics will tell you that.
Really? Boom, bang. No, it won't.
Forensics could tell you that, absolutely, if there was any bleeding after the shot. Because how long was he in the car before they retrieved the body?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read that.
Okay.
But blood is going to leak out of a hole, even if it's a gunshot wound, and it's going to leak out of...
Yeah, but your capillaries react differently after your body's dead.
Okay, so if a bullet overpressurizes a cranial vault, and that splatters gray matter
Such
everywhere.
An awesome image,
you like
by
that?
the way.
By the way, and gray matter is...
Am I supposed to like that?
I did.
And gray matter is expelled from the cranial cavity. You're not going to be able to tell whether that gray matter was...
But they won't
expelled
test the gray matter.
post-mortem
They'll test the edges of the skin.
So if bang
from around it to see how long they can tell if somebody's lived after the fact.
You think the tissue is going to react differently a split second?
Now the
after
second
a bomb
could destroy the tissue from the gunshot wound and
there was
destroy
only one
that
bomb,
evidence.
Was there not?
I believe there was two. I believe there was a primary explosion, a gunshot, and a
there
secondary.
There were two.
Yeah.
So the secondary was on him, or the secondary?
It was in the car.
car.
I have yet to determine if it was set or if he was trying to set them both at once and something triggered the secondary to explode after the fact. It was the secondary that actually blew the officer back because it was the primary shots fired, and I believe they started to move in. And then the secondary lit off, which thank goodness the officers weren't right up on the scene. But now you're like, all right, there's more bombs in the car, so we're not going to go check him right away.
Yeah.
We're going to have a team come out.
Absolutely. So
you can wait, dude.
And thank goodness for timing, and those officers weren't hurt.
So again, I have a hard time understanding. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV. I've played doctor, but I'm not a doctor. Well, I'm practically a doctor.
Just this week.
Yeah, I'm practically a doctor.
I don't know why that gave me like a horrible image. Because it's like, I play doctor, and I immediately was like, oh.
Come here, little girl.
Yeah.
I'm
a 30.
Okay, I'm sorry, that wasn't funny.
I'm a 35-year-old named John. Yeah, exactly.
This is my proctologist license.
at that look on his face.
Is that still Cracker Jack dust on it? Well, it might be. By the way, that's racist.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know who Jack is, and you can't call him a cracker.
Well, I'm just saying, in some instance, the pathologist is able to tell if.
Some. I just have in this case when you have bang,
but I don't
even
know.
if it's bang boom bang.
But I don't know.
I have
You
a hard
don't know.
time. Holy shit. I have a hard time thinking that bang, boom, bang, you're going to tell, well, this piece of tissue was post-mortem and the guy died 1 second after he blew his ass. Yeah.
Well, not 1 second. I mean, but I don't know.
It was bang, boom, bang.
In theory, we don't know that either.
Right.
It could have been bang, boom, boom.
It could have been boom, boom, bang, bang, boom. We don't know.
It could have been when she banged. She banged. Oh, baby, when she moved. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to read this quote to you guys.
Do you really want to right now?
And you guys tell me what you think this guy is trying to say. This is the chief.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Manley.
Yes.
Said.
It's a great name for a chief.
He's talking about the 25-minute recording on the guy's phone.
Yeah.
He said Condit did not mention terrorism or hate, but described the recording as a quote, an outcry of a very challenged young man. I know everyone is interested in a motive and understanding why, and we're never going to be able to put a rationale behind these acts. The chief said Condit talked about problems in his personal life in what Chief Manley called a video confession found on the phone after his death.
So now this brings up.
What do you make
Poor
of that?
Guy.
What do you make of that?
Poor
But
guy.
so this brings.
That's
this
what
does,
I'm afraid is.
Poor
This is
guy.
where that's going.
And
Well-
Austin isn't the most conservative bastard.
No,
in
it's
the
a
world.
very liberal part
Yes,
of it.
Right.
it is.
But I also
Challenged young man. I want to see a police chief say, you know what, he was fucking evil. He did shit because he's an asshole.
Yeah, and he's dead.
Well,
And he's dead.
But that brings
And
me
the world's
back
a better
to,
place because society is safer. Sorry, Sean.
was he a closet gay guy?
Who, the chief?
No, I'm talking about the bomber.
Oh, we don't know. The chief may be.
No, the bomber.
He might be also.
Right.
We don't know.
And is he lashing out?
The chief?
The bomber.
I don't know.
I'm asking him.
Third base.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I'm looking at
Wait a
you, but
minute.
I'm talking to him.
He
Right.
said
Well, I figured
Sean
as
said
much.
he's
I know
he's
you're asking him
me.
about the bomber, or you're
Wait a
asking me
minute.
about the chief.
Well,
That's
did
why
you
I'm
see-
confused.
Did you see his body language? He's posing the question, saying he's asking me, but he's looking at you.
Well,
Right.
clearly,
How
I'm
am I to
asking you
interpret
now and
that?
not him.
Other than you're asking Clint over here. You're not looking at
Look,
me and
fine.
asking that
Clearly
question.
I can't choose
You
the
are
microphone
looking
in front of
me.
You're looking at Clint. So I'm thinking, hey, you expect Clint to
Let me-
provide that
can I-
answer.
can I clarify
Clint,
this?
So Clint, why didn't you?
The chief?
Yeah.
Third base.
It is?
Or the suspect, one of the two.
All right, let me clarify. BZ.
Perfect.
Sir? Yes?
No, so, but it does start, as soon as he gets into the whole dark part of his life.
Who, the chief? I'm so confused right now.
As soon as he gets into the dark part
I
of
know
his
what
life.
you did.
I know, I muted. But it does start talking about motive a little bit, right? If he grew up in a fairly religious home, if he was a closet gay or homosexual, and he was starting, maybe these were directly related bombs, trying to keep people quiet about that. Maybe he snapped. Like you said, the evil came out.
We don't
We
know.
don't know.
For fuck's sake. We don't know about the Las Vegas shootings.
Yeah, we don't know shit about that. For as much as they think we know shit about that.
Yeah.
So amazingly, one of the biggest mass shootings on U.S. soil, and we can't find out dick about this guy? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Apparently not.
Weird.
And just like, I'm sorry to say, one of the first things I was thinking after about 2 weeks into the Las Vegas shooting is everyone involved is fucking this up like the JFK shooting.
Well, either that, and I've brought this
And
up.
I fully realize there's an assload of evidence that they have to take care of and an assload of statements. I get it.
I think it was probably going to be running fine until a certain 3-letter agency showed up. Call me crazy. And then I think things got gummed up.
And
it's funny how the FBI took such a major role in that investigation but spoke so little during press conferences. Weird how that happens, huh?
Because they don't know what they're talking about.
No, normally if it's like a bank robbery or something, you see them out there in the suit with their blue raid coat and they're talking all about it. But that one, they've stayed ridiculously quiet about, which is always strange to me. You have every time. Well, you can defer that to this agency. You can defer that to that agency. You can defer this. Normally, the FBI
You know
loves
what?
to talk about all
Maybe-
the shit they got right.
Maybe because those other agencies pulled them aside and say, hey, a-holes, you say a freaking word about this and screw up our investigation, and we're going to cut you out of the loop really quick.
I suspect it went the other way. I think the FBI showed up and said, "Hey, this is our investigation because we have reason to believe that he's involved with us somehow. And if you screw up our investigation, we'll cut all ears for interfering with the federal investigation."
Maybe, but then why wouldn't they be saying anything and taking the lead?
Because publicly, they don't want that connection.
The publicly, they always want that connection.
But no, not when they fuck up. And I've said this before.
Not when they fuck up.
I've said this before with Las Vegas. I put my tinfoil hat on a little bit.
Yeah.
I still believe that there's a possibility that this guy was somehow a middleman for the feds in a gun running operation, just like we saw under Fast and Furious. People could say I'm crazy and you don't blah 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 blah. There's just an entire city that's on video. The entire city of Las Vegas is on video. If you're in a casino, if you walk from one side of the casino to the other side of the casino in Las Vegas or any other casino in this country, you're on camera no less than 50 times. The streets, all on camera. All those, they share a lot of the same cameras. They work together. There's almost a mesh system on cameras in Las Vegas where once you leave your hotel room, they can follow you out the front door, up the strip, in another casino.
For Christ's sake, we know that. We're well-versed in that. We've been to Freedom Fest for the past 2 years. Everything in every hotel we've ever seen.
Yes.
You can't walk except maybe in your room, and even then, who knows? Once you get into a corridor in any of those major Las Vegas motels, they know where you are
without a doubt.
Damn time.
And I'm fine with that, by the way.
That's okay.
Right. It's their property.
But as you and I both said last year, where's all the video?
Where is it? Why haven't we seen it yet?
Is this not an event of enough significance?
But this brings me back to Austin. Here's why Austin, even if his motive now is a political religious ideology, it will come out quick. Because he is a loner individual white male. I said every news blast that I saw when I woke up this morning when they said he'd been killed, the first sentence had him in a 24-year-old man, quote, comma, white male, comma. All of them did, right off the bat. KCRA, who in California, in Sacramento, KCRA notoriously will not put the race of a suspect in a crime if he is anything but white.
Yep.
Had a whites, and they do it all the time.
True of anybody. Here's an interesting point.
So his motive will be released as soon as they figure it out because they want to bring an end to it. I believe that the motive for Vegas is a couple years away and will have to come out via a leak, which is horrible to say, but I believe that to be true.
What can any logical thinking human being conclude other than what they discover or have already discovered is of such significance or is sufficiently eventful that if released now would be crippling, damaging in some way that we've yet to put our finger on?
Yeah, I agree.
How can you conclude anything other than that?
You cannot. You really can't. And it's funny because whose policies were still running the FBI at that point?
If that's not true, then release the shit.
I agree.
And it isn't so.
So look, when they don't screw up, we get everything up front. We get all their heroic work right away. We get that with a lot of agencies, not just the FBI. But let's be honest. When the FBI does something well, we hear about it. When they don't do anything well, we hear about it in a lawsuit 4 years later against, I don't know, the FBI from a security guard who got shot.
Here's something that guest 2448 just put out in the chat room.
2448, go.
And this is interesting.
2 minutes to break.
There's a link to web.archive.org. And it's a link to what I'm interpreting as a link to reddit.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, I am the Austin bomber. And then there are 143 comments underneath that. And for whatever reason, this is still up. How it's still up, I do not know. The comments go from, I don't believe you. Sorry. Have any proof? Didn't think so. Stop pretending to be the bomber. It's not only weird, it's pathetic. Boy, you came to that conclusion in a flash. Sorry, I had to. You don't need to believe me. So apparently all the nut jobs are coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Already.
Well, but this guy's also, so, but you look at computers. If this guy does know anything about computers, he could set up a comment to post after his death.
How long till the copycats hit?
Oh, I know. That's the horrific part. That's the scary part. And like I said,
but you have to have some facility with bombs to be able to be a copycat. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong solder mark, and you will be.
Well, they'll find out.
We'll find out.
You'll find out how good of a bomb maker you are right away.
Yep.
When I was in IED, we had a photo that was in EOD. We had a photo that was in every guy's cubby, and it was a picture of like the Ecuadorian EOD team, and you got a bunch of guys. There's like 2 photos. There's a bunch of guys in white shirts and shirts with lapels and whatnot, and no protection whatsoever, and they're all craned and looking over this box that's opened, and one guy has his hand in his finger and he's going like that.
Yes.
And the next one, there's just nothing but red ooze and shit
mist
on the wall behind.
Yeah.
So, that's the guy that's building a bomb that doesn't know anything. So you do have to have a bit of a facility to create these things.
And understand them, and it does take some. But you also have these guys in the Middle East that throw them together all the time on a regular basis. So the information's out there. And like I said, that brings you to a question. Has he been on any of those websites to learn how to build a bomb too? Because that's going to add a completely different twist to the investigation. Look, we're up against a break. When we come back, BZ has a topic that he said will turn Clint and my brains inside out.
Into mush.
Ooh. Yep. I don't know how you turn oatmeal to mush, but I'm going to see you do that. And everyone else will too right here on the Sackheads.
Mush is more like a malto-meal consistency.
Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
What you have on Christmas morning?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about?
Just like the last
Dude, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network, 21st of May, 2018. Thank you so much for joining us. BZ. Sir, I turn it over to you. Blow our minds.
This had kind of a unique genesis to it, so to speak. There's an article at BuzzFeed. There's an article at Town Hall. There's another one at the Daily Caller. But it all distills down to this. This FBI assistant director was testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee this week on Capitol Hill. And he's an FBI deputy director, and his name is David Bowditch, Bowditch. And he said that he revealed that the Obama Justice Department purged more than 500,000 fugitives from the federal gun background check system.
Oh, good.
Now,
They've decreased the amount of criminals in this country.
I've noticed that Snopes immediately took this up. By the way, folks, if you don't know, Snopes, if you think you're getting any amount of credulity on Snopes.com because they disprove all they're the final archive of truth and reality in the universe, fuck Snopes. No, they're not. They're a leftist cause. Like the Southern Poverty Law Center is exactly what it isn't.
Yeah.
In any event, this guy testifies. I watched the video. This is, in fact, what he said, so Snopes can go straight to hell. He said, "It's my understanding that under federal law, fugitives cannot legally purchase or possess guns. We heard from local law enforcement the Justice Department has issued a memo that forces the FBI NICS background check database to drop more than 500,000 names of fugitives without standing arrest warrants because it was uncertain whether those fugitives fled across state lines. Mr. Bowditch, can you describe why this determination was made by the Justice Department?" Are you sitting down?
Yeah,
hope you are.
Ask Gasket and
That
all.
was a decision that was made under the previous administration. It was the Department of Justice's legal counsel that reviewed the law and believed that it needed to be interpreted so if someone was a fugitive in a state, there had to be indications they had crossed state lines. Otherwise, they were not known to be a fugitive under the law in the way it was interpreted. So 500,000 fugitives, criminals,
Famous but incompetent,
could have lawfully acquired firearms of whatever nature because of the philosophy of the Obama administration and DOJ. Woo-hoo, good times. Now, question to everybody watching right now and listening or in the podcast, did you happen to hear this story barked like a badass seal across the fruited plain for the past day or two or three or four since the story emerged?
BZ, do you realize what you just did?
Okay, it was a stupid question.
Do you realize what you just did?
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I apologize. I'm apologizing.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm attempting
BZ just proved for the first time ever in national history the vast conspiracy of the left. Let me explain. BZ has proven beyond a doubt that the left is pro-gun. Let me explain.
I didn't see where you were taking
that. Let me explain.
But
Listen,
I appreciate it.
The left constantly says, we don't want criminals to have guns.
Ever.
Expand background checks. Yet at every fucking turn, they decriminalize everything.
I know.
Look at California in this story. If there are no criminals, then obviously everybody can own a gun.
Well, if you decriminalize everything,
like
then nobody can be convicted of a crime.
Right.
And crimes get kicked off their record.
Which means
they are
everybody can
eligible
own
for
a gun.
So what
the left is actually saying is they don't want just law-abiding citizens to have gun. They want everybody to have guns.
Actually, their next step, go ahead. Go. Sorry, go.
Come on, this is fucking pure gold here, Sean.
So their next step is why it's so obvious we have to remove all guns from if you're a leftist, because if nobody's a criminal, then everybody could have
That's
a gun.
right. Either
and
nobody has
we can't have all of those bad people who aren't criminals.
Because now
having
you're
guns.
back on the whole left wants to take all guns away, and BZ just proved that that's not the case.
You're right. I'm so sorry.
It's a conspiracy.
That's what I concluded.
Hey, look.
Didn't you, Sean?
Janet Reno saying in the
Hang on.
90s that the ultimate goal is total gun confiscation. That means
Listen,
nothing.
no. That's clearly a dog whistle. Okay?
It is. It is.
Look, there are people who are anti-gun, and they pretend to be left. However, the true insidious nature of the Democratic Party is that everybody needs to be armed, but because they patronize their base, they act like they don't want anybody to be armed, and yet they backdoor away to take the criminals off the street so they can in fact be armed.
I'll support your argument for a second.
Yes.
All of their protection. What do all those ladies and gentlemen have that protect everyone on the
Guns.
left? Right.
Yeah. No, left.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank
What
you.
he said.
Yes.
Right. What he said.
BZ, that was pure genius. And I don't know if
Thank
you
you.
saw,
Thank
you just uncovered the insidious part of that. Listen, folks, if you are anti-gun and you give money to the Democratic Party, you need to stop right now.
Right. All your donations need to go to
Because the Republican Party.
Thank you.
Because at least you know what you're getting with them.
Right. We're upfront about it. BZ, follow-up question. Honestly, have they broken down the types of crimes and or, my other question, the racial makeup of the 500,000 percentage-wise?
Let me go down here.
I want to know the types of crimes.
Now it's not going into that. It says arrest warrants don't disappear when a fugitive crosses a state line, and neither does their violent criminal history. If a criminal flees from Texas through New Mexico into Arizona, they're still a fugitive. And they talk about the U.S. Marshals.
Right.
And the federal background check system like NICS applies to all 50 states. So I'm looking to see if they're breaking this down into any demographics.
And why they're so anti-law enforcement, too. The left is extremely anti-law enforcement, even though they want law enforcement to control everybody and everything all the time.
Oh, here it is.
Well, hold on. Let me finish my thought.
Sorry.
Then you can go with it. They endangered all of those marshals and law enforcement who are now going after and pursuing these individuals because these individuals could potentially arm themselves legally.
Now, hell yeah.
Because of this move. Clint, I'm sorry I cut you off. Good, sir.
And no, I looked in this article and I don't see a breakdown of
He said
of
he has it.
demographics.
I have something.
Okay.
The Merriam-Webster dictionary definition for fugitive.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Okay, it's very germane, not the Jackson, but very germane to this conversation.
Point taken.
A person, such as a suspect, witness, or defendant involved in a criminal case who tries to elude law enforcement, especially by fleeing a jurisdiction. Not has to be fleeing a jurisdiction, not has to be fleeing a state, but fleeing a jurisdiction. I submit to you that in order to be a fugitive from the state, or a fugitive period, if you are charged in a state court and you flee the state's jurisdiction, you are a fugitive. But what if you're charged and a local police department arrests you? And now you're fleeing that city's jurisdiction. So maybe you cross the city lines and you go into a county.
You could be a fugitive from the
You
vault.
could be a fugitive.
Bail jumping.
Correct. You could be a fugitive. Because who started the case against you?
The local.
Right? The local.
That one single jurisdiction.
Correct. So if you have a federal crime and you're charged in the state of California under the U.S. code, but you go to Nevada Well, you're still within the United States. You haven't fled the jurisdiction.
Right, so you're not a fugitive.
Or is the interpretation you're charged in the Eastern District of California, and now you take a day trip into San Francisco, so you're in another district. You fled the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And so yeah, basically that FBI lawyer's full of shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely full of shit. I mean, look, you took 500,000 fugitive criminals off, and out of those 500,000, they don't specify, I know. That doesn't mean that just because they were a fugitive, they're still waiting to be charged. That very well means that a lot of them could have been convicted and didn't show up to serve their time, fled from a club fed facility, as we used to call it, one of the no gates, no prisons. So you're potentially talking about bad people, very, very, very bad people. And the Obama administration, by the way,
are very bad people.
Fast and the Furious. I mean,
I'm sorry. Well, you have to look at trends and patterns.
We look at how well they
all through the Obama administration.
Right. You look at how well they've controlled such things involving crime and violence.
And leftists.
Ask Brian Terry's family. Yeah. Ask Brian Terry's family.
Why did people in California
look at
create
ISIS.
Prop 47? Why did they create Prop 57?
Well,
why did Obama
so that more people could own guns?
Do this? Right.
Well,
by the way, in chat, I got to read this to you guys in chat. Chat's been going kind of on a different level, but it's worth mentioning. Dan Butcher's in chat, and he says,
Dan El Duce.
The bombings in Austin could have been avoided by creating bomb-free zones, raising the bombing age to 25, and passing more bomb control laws. And guest 2448 says, Dan, why didn't I think of that? And Dan says, hey, did you post something like that earlier? And guest 2448 says, hey, if we only banned all violence, and we'd have peace. And then Dan responds, everyone knows bombs, guns, knives, and trucks are the killers, not people.
Right.
And I said, yes, Dan, correct.
Swimming pools, killers.
Properly. And then
trees.
Guest
Trees are
2448 chimes in with, Dan, where can I turn in all my guns, knives, and trucks? I have a ton that may be waiting to hurt people.
I have an address for you. Now.
Man, that was great.
What kind of truck? No, Dan's 100% right. Look, the ridiculous part of this or any other crime is you can have all these zones all you want. Now, if I want to go back and relate this to the 500,000 kicked off the system, I wonder if any of those guys used a weapon in a gun-free zone, either against another criminal, law enforcement, himself, anything else. That would be interesting to see, because then you've put the gun into his hands, which the left is okay with. You've had a gun-free zone, which the left is supportive of, to keep the guns out of that specific zone, and you've had the two meet. That's right. That's right. Those are my fingers.
Your fingers docking?
Yeah, why?
Just checking.
Look, we all know more laws make things safer, right? I go back to the drugs in this country. If only we had laws against drugs.
I always go back to drugs.
I know you do. I always go back. Look, this is another systemic failure of the Obama administration. When you're talking about the potential people who are on this list, you could have opened up a gigantic can of worms. If one of those individuals took another life, and I was that family member finding this out, I would have every lawyer in the world right now against the Obama administration, Comey, and the FBI itself. And I would name people specifically.
See, the funny thing is that I think perhaps you, a lot of people who are conservatives, libertarians, have a massive question is the rampant, incredible, staggering, mind-boggling hypocrisy that occurs. This stuff we're just finding out about because they are no longer in power. They could have been in power.
All right.
But
They
somehow
wanted to
that
be.
got derailed, and they're apoplectic over that having occurred in 2016. But we're finding out day by day the incredible abrogations of law, the Constitution, taking means and matters into their own hands, warping laws, disobeying laws,
Suspending, quote unquote.
completely eschewing laws, Gesundheit, and we're finding this out. It's every day. I call it the tip of the iceberg. I'll wager there is still so much we don't know,
Benghazi.
and yet nothing gets done.
Benghazi.
Note to the federal government and to D.C., the people that pay the taxes and the people with common sense and good heads on their shoulders, after a while, are going to get tired of this. And when they do, it won't be pleasant. And D.C., and I'm talking about both sides of the aisle now, you're not listening. You need to start listening.
Well, so I automatically go back to Benghazi. That's going to be the biggest one that has to come out. And I'm actually really aggravated that nobody in this administration or Congress has pushed.
Everyone has
since.
dropped it.
And I understand that there's a lot of pressing issues in this country. Look, I get that. However, Benghazi was one of the biggest systemic governmental letdowns and failures probably since, if I had to be completely honest, probably since the failed terrorist hostage rescue of Iran. It was a complete and utter failure. And American citizens that should have been protected were not. And if it wasn't for the fighters in Benghazi, friends like Chris Paranto and all the other guys, then it could have been a hell of a lot worse. Imagine, and I've said this time and again, imagine if that team was not there that night, or if they were on minimal security or whatever.
Or imagine if that team obeyed orders and
didn't
nothing.
go. Right.
And sat on their hands.
Or if they just weren't the true warriors that they were, and the annex was overrun after the fact, and all those American employees of the CIA were killed. Where does that leave you? And we still don't know.
It leaves you for the same band of characters then going after that facility next.
Well, but we still don't know what happened. It's so weird to me to think that it's been this long and we don't know.
We have a dead American ambassador. And nothing has been done.
No one cares. I have a reason for this, and I'm going to give it to you. I call it Beezy's DC axiom, but it's the most reprehensible, cynical reason that you could ever think, but I believe it to be true. And it's been true for decades, and I believe it's going to continue to be true until bad shit steps off. And that's this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You never, if you're in power in D.C., you never want to go after your successors. Excuse me. If you're in D.C.,
predecessors.
You never want to go after your predecessors because your successors, everything is cyclical, will go after you.
Unless you have nothing to hide.
Even so.
And let them go after.
And how fucking cynical is it for me to think that that's the actual answer?
But that is the answer.
That is the answer.
I think you're 100% right. That's the problem,
I hate to
too.
say it, but that's the most cynical thing you can possibly say.
But that's the answer.
And yet it's so simple.
But they forget who pays them. They forget who they work for. And look, if you're an administration and your worries are, what's the next administration going to look at when they come back here? Then you should question what you're doing. And people could say, oh, well, there's blah, 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 blah. Look, I understand that. And there are some things that are, in fact, off limits. And I know that. There's Black Ops, CIA, top secret stuff, etc. And all of that ends up being off limits. However, when you look back at the prior administration, and you have to ask yourself, from what we know, and if your axiom is appropriate, then there's a lot of stuff that has yet to come out. And if what we know is horrendous, and it gets more horrendous every friggin' day.
Every week we're
then
finding
what
more crap.
Don't we know?
In retrospect.
What don't we know?
There's so much more. And yet we're seeing so little done about it.
When was the I forget, I already answered my question. The problem we have, I think, is there's not enough oversight of the government by the people. You have government oversight committee, but that's still government watching government. The people in this country only pay attention to clips, newsreels, and whatever's shoved down their throat by mainstream media maggots. We know that. So when the country bitches and moans about, well, why? How come? It's because you are not paying attention to what your government is doing, and you are not either being educated or educating yourself as to what they should and should not be doing, and it is your responsibility to make sure that you know. And you could say that's a lot of information for me to learn about something that barely affects me. It affects you. It affects you every day, because when you look back at the last administration and all the bullshit that they were pulling, that it's coming out more and more, that affects you.
Cake and circuses.
Yeah.
2 points. Number one, we would never, ever have discovered this had Hillary won.
Oh, God. I mean, thank God
November
she's falling downstairs
8th
in India right now, because if she was
2016.
falling downstairs at the White House, we would never know shit.
This would never have come out. And the other thing is...
Yeah, but what's going to be done about it?
Well, that's the
Who
point.
cares?
Okay.
Honestly, yeah, we're finding this out, but what is going to be done?
You're going to my second point, and that is this. People in D.C. cannot see the obvious in front of them, and certainly people on the GOP side of the aisle. To wit, people are suggesting, it was Grassley and Graham, of all crazy-ass people, that we need to have a special
The cracker?
counsel for Comey, the FBI, et cetera, et cetera,
Yes.
et cetera. Then there are people on the GOP side of the aisle also who are saying, oh, no, just let the Inspector General do its natural thing. Well, the IG is going to be coming out with a report that I think is going to sock a lot of people in the nards.
And I'll tell you right now, based on everything I've seen, the IG has been doing a pretty damn good job.
Well, not only that, but who's this jackass out of Arizona that is calling for people to challenge Trump in the primaries?
Right. Flake.
Flake.
What really?
And that's what he is.
McCabe gets fired, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
In my
I have yet
opinion.
to see anything
Rightfully so.
to
Look,
say that it was
the,
personal.
The IG came in, did an independent investigation,
Yes.
and said this guy needs to get fired. Sessions looked at it. He was terminated.
Until I'm proven wrong, the IG's office
that's-
is by far the most clear, balanced, and fair
Well, actually, that
investigatory body going. Go ahead.
That was the FBI's OPR that made that recommendation that Sessions picked
But it was
up.
based on the IG's information.
It was.
Yeah.
It was that.
I think
At
it was.
least- At
But
least the OPR is doing its job.
either way, this guy, a lot of people were calling for this guy to be fired.
Right.
And for this Yahoo to come out and to put that on the Trump
Bullshit.
Is this guy a Democrat?
Well, he must be.
He's from Arizona. He's another McCain. You
Yeah.
may as well
And-
just do what I've said to McCain for years: change your
Change-
R to a D and be fucking done with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But let me throw this out in the ozone as well. All these people on the GOP side are saying, "Oh, just let the IG do their job." Fuck it and fuck you. You need a special counsel. The
Yes.
IG has no power of subpoena, so
Yes.
the people that have left government service, i.e., James Comey, Lois Lerner, et al., line up the usual suspect, have no powers and authority whatsoever
Yes.
to go against these people.
Yes.
That's why the hell you need a special counsel.
And I'll even
so
buy
any Republican saying that, oh, no, you don't, we need to not go to this, fuck them.
And-
I don't care who it is.
And the other thing is, we need to. I would even be on board with, hey, the second counsel doesn't interfere with the first special counsel's investigation.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm totally good with that. But this needs to be looked at.
I agree wholeheartedly.
You know, and the other thing is, let Mueller go. I don't care. Let him go.
I think at
Yeah,
this point you could fire
don't
him
need
in a
to-
second and
you don't
nobody
need
would
to-
ever
you
argue.
don't- you don't even need to pull
No, don't
Mueller.
fire him.
I mean, the
No,
left
let
will
him-
argue.
The
Let him
second you
go.
fight, then you'll have a-holes like Jeff Flake and everything.
But you know what?
You don't fire him. Let him go.
So, but I've also, but what I was saying about the Inspector General, you know, you have the FBI, you have the Office of Professional Standards, you have all these different agencies, but the IG's office,
Oops. Office of Professional Standards,
Yeah.
or OPS.
Oops. And it goes back
Which
to the
is kinda
first
funny,
set
given
of
it's the
text
FBI.
messages that the FBI said they couldn't find, and the IG's office came out, 2 days later? Like, yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
The IG's office needs to work with the special counsel and just say, hey, you know what? This is everything we have. Because they, like I said, they've been the only one who I believe has been fair, just, and unbiased and doing their job.
Well, I want to see if
and they're not getting credit, which is almost a problem.
they just did.
Well,
I want to see, who do you think special counsel is? I want to see Trey Gowdy. I want to see Trey Gowdy all over it.
oh God, yeah, yeah, he's retiring.
Yeah.
So I think I think Trey Gowdy is doing a really a good job of playing his political role still having enough teeth, but understanding that, like, hey, I'm probably not going to get anything done in these committees. And I think that's where he's at now. I think he's to the point where he's like, all right, these committees aren't going to work with me because they're all
committees are
protected.
bullshit.
I think he is. I would love to see an unhinged Trey Gowdy, and when he retires, I want to hear him talk then.
Yes.
Because I think it's going to be a very, very different Trey Gowdy. I think a lot of people who they thought he was buddy-buddy with, where he was like, yeah, I think Trey Gowdy Unleashed is going to be astounding.
I want to see Trey Gowdy in some. I would love to see Trey Gowdy as Attorney
AG.
General.
I would love to see Trey Gowdy as AG.
And I could see it. Maybe Trump already had that conversation with him.
Well, hey, yeah.
Right? Hey, Sessions is going to be gone.
Yep.
I want you as my AG.
And I don't care about the rotating door. I want the best people in it. If they're not doing their job, I'm getting rid of them, which I am 100% okay with.
Yes.
I understand that certain posts need to stay filled, and once you remove the head of a post, it really upsets the department. But it's also sending a message to all of these other departments of, hey, you don't get your shit together and do what you're supposed to do, you're out.
We're up against the break. And
Hell
Trump,
yeah, we are.
Trump comes from private sector, and that's how it's done.
Oops, sorry.
That's how it's done there.
Yeah. That's just a reality. And a lot of people who aren't from private sector forget that. We'll be back right after this on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about?
The last question really cut a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Hey, good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I gotta hit the buttons. Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network, when the conversation off the air is just as amazing as it is off the air.
It's funny you should mention that, because I was talking to Clint recently, and there was an article that
Where'd
just
you see
came
him?
out. There was an article that just came out about Trey Gowdy, and
Yes.
he's going to be retiring at the end of his term. And one of the things that I told Clint is Gowdy has said recently that he wants to move to, say, I don't know, like a federal prosecutor job back in South Carolina, because he said, quote, "I want a job where facts matter."
Yeah. And I think what happened is, if you saw Trey Gowdy early, he fought the good fight for a long time. And I think there's enough people even on his side that weren't. And I think he just burned out. I think he got sick. Look at Jason Chaffetz. I think they just get burned out.
There are, folks, if you haven't done this already, you need to. And I used to do this on bloviatingzeppelin.net. I love a good ass chewing by Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz.
Yes.
Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz know how to skin people fucking alive for minutes up to like a half hour of grill. But the big problem with that is, they're powerless. They're toothless. All these committees, they can just recommend. They have no teeth.
Right.
And what can they really do? That's
And under the
problem.
last administration, the people that had teeth were never allowed to use them, or were directed not to, or did not want to.
Yes.
And that was a major problem. BZ, you're up. Oh wait, I stand corrected. No, it is BZ. There we go. The Maryland shooting.
Okay.
You take it and start, and then we'll go from there.
Parkland, Maryland. A cock-up from the word go. This one, in the Maryland school shooting, there was proving again, it takes a guy with a gun to stop a guy with a gun. What aspect of that do you fucking leftists not grok?
Yes.
Leftists, Democrats, the American media maggots, shit goes right when you got a guy with a gun. So here's this Maryland school resource officer. He stared a gun in the face, and he did it before to save lives.
Yes.
The guy that engaged that active shooter in that Maryland high school, he was finally recognized for his exemplary, what they called exemplary judgment. And the guy's name, and I'm going to name him by name because he needs to be named.
Absolutely, he's a hero.
His name is Blaine Gaskill. He's a St. Mary's County Sheriff's...
Blaine what?
Gaskill. Gaskill. He's a St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office deputy.
That's funny because he shot a shitbag.
With SWAT training, who was positioned at Great Mills High School since the beginning of the school year.
Gaskill.
And he immediately responded, unlike some other individuals, right after he was alerted to the shooting.
And he didn't get suspended for it?
No, so he does his job. He pursues the shooter.
He saved lives.
He engages the shooter. He fires a round at the shooter.
And
he did everything he was supposed to do during an active shooter situation. And again, during the break,
He's a
Clint
stud.
and I were talking about active shooters, and I used to tell my troops this. I used to say, you have to think of an active shooter situation like a stroke. Seconds saved are lives saved. I can't think of any other way to put it better than that. If it's an active shooter, especially in a situation like this, people have different expectations of law enforcement than they did 20, 30 years ago. And the expectations are a lot higher, and they don't brook anything other than perfection. I have to be quite honest. But I can think of no other way to quantify an active shooter situation other than get the hell in, do your job, this is what you're paid to do. This guy is a hero.
Yes.
Yep.
And
And
every
he
level.
didn't wait for backup. He did because you can't.
He is the school resource officer. That's his job.
Yep.
Scott Peterson was the school resource officer wearing a green Broward County Sheriff's Department uniform. There's no comparing the two.
Well, no, there's not.
Oh,
Look,
you can compare and contrast.
Oh,
all
yeah,
day
no,
long.
yeah, you can do that.
You could definitely do
but
that.
as far as the status of doing what you're supposed to and what you're not,
Here's
you can't
the facts.
compare.
The facts are he contained the situation within 60 seconds
Yep.
of the alert.
Yep. Well, look, at the end of the day, this guy's a stud. And, I equate it to the officers of the Fort Hood shooting, the female sergeant specifically who engaged him first single-handedly. And she took rounds and continued in the fight. This guy's the same type of thing. He went. He knew he couldn't hesitate. He relied on his training. He relied on really his heart, because you got to have that to be able to go into that situation. He put his own life at risk doing what he swore he was going to do, which is protect others and get a bad guy off the street, this time via ME's office. But he did it, and he did it quickly and professionally and perfectly, it sounds like. So
it was a 17-year-old gunman.
Yep.
He took him out.
Yep.
Well, and remember the headline that he'd done this before? In July 2016, Gaskill was responding to a complaint at a Great Mills home when a guy identified as blah, 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 59 years old, pointed a gun at him, according to Maryland newspaper The Enterprise. The guy was standing on the porch pointing a gun at me. I ordered the defendant to drop the gun, at which point his wife walked between us. The defendant refused to comply with my demands, until his wife convinced him to drop the gun. So he's looked down the barrel of guns before and been successful. Folks, if you want to see how law enforcement really works in an agency where cops are doing their jobs, look here.
Yeah. Clint, I know you have stuff to say, so.
No. Look, you know what? There's nothing to say that hasn't been said. The guy is a hero. He's a national hero, and in my opinion, the president of the United States should invite him to the White House and pin a medal on his chest. Because
thank you.
Because
yeah,
that man saved lives. I hope that that guy should do a video. His story should be present in active shooter classes.
And he won't.
Yeah,
he's going to go back to work tomorrow.
He won't, and you know what? God bless him, because that's what makes him an even greater man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You haven't heard boo from this guy. He's not out showbizzing in the spotlight or anything.
He's not on the social media.
And
I haven't seen him do an interview.
He's not on the world tour.
So you know what?
He's not writing a book like Comey.
Yep.
Right. So hey, God bless him. That to me is a true hero, and in my opinion, that speaks volumes about the man's character. And it seems to me that he does this job for the right reasons. So now that other jackass
Broward,
where the video just resurfaced this week, where he was standing outside.
Yeah, Scott Peterson.
And there were reports that why is everybody named Scott Peterson a fucking asshole?
Yeah, no kidding.
That's true. Now, he's the third.
Yeah.
Right? Have you noticed this? Not everybody. If your name's Scott Peterson and you're a nice guy, I apologize.
That's right.
Especially if you listen to the Sackheads radio show. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m.
But if you're an asshole, there's a history.
Yeah, there is a history. Look, that guy needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be fired. He's a coward.
Well, he retired quick.
He's a coward. I think his pension should be denied.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a legal means to do that. Now, I would be curious to know if Florida has a duty to act law on the books. I don't know if they do or not. I don't think California does.
California does
not.
Right. Does not.
So look, he may not have
broke any laws.
He may not have broken any laws.
Yeah.
However, in his position, is there some civil liability there? Oh, I'm sure there is. But look, in his position, he's a freaking coward.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And he's a complete disgrace to the badge. He's a disgrace to his agency. He's a disgrace to the citizens,
especially a school.
Yeah, I mean that guy. I honestly, I can't fathom the inaction. I really can't.
I agree.
And look, I wasn't there in his specific situation at that particular moment.
Nope.
Well,
but damn it, there is an expectation of you. Every cop knows what the expectation is since April 20th, 1999, Littleton, Colorado, with Columbine.
Hey,
everybody knows what the
Hey,
deal
listen,
is.
if you're going to take the coward's way out, as soon as the first shot's fired, grab your chest and fall to the ground. You know what I mean? Like,
how do you justify You are
You
a
don't.
school resource
You don't. You
officer.
can't.
There's no justification.
You've been trained in active shooter situations. Now, up until this final tidbit that I'm going to tell you, there have been people equivocating, but when I tell you this, knowing that the requisite training, education, and experience existed with this guy, and yet he still made that choice.
Yes.
When you get on the air, let's see, facts. You're a school resource officer. You're at a school.
Yes.
You hear gunshots.
Yes.
That may be an indicator of an active shooter situation, so that's an excellent reason why you get on the air and say, responding units, stay at least 500 yards away from the 700 and 1200 building.
What?
What the fuck?
What?
Was that him or was that
That
a
was a
supervisor?
broadcast on the air.
Was that him or was that somebody
him
else?
saying that?
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Did those responding units stay keep their distance?
Well, no, because 2 SWAT guys got suspended because they were on their way back from a training and
not from that agency.
No.
They were
But
from
still.
an outside jurisdiction.
But still.
First people going
They self-deployed.
Right.
You can't self-deploy. They got suspended because they didn't let somebody know they were going.
They were self-deploying. But I think Florida is one of those states that if you're a cop in one city, you're a cop in every city.
So it doesn't matter. You still can't self-dispatch.
I understand that.
In Broward County jurisdiction, who were the first responders to actually go in? Coral Springs Police Department ran right by Broward County. Again, what the fuck? I spent 41 years in law enforcement doing this job. I served no time in the military, so that's how I did my service to the community and to the country. And I support law enforcement as much as I possibly can. But when you see situations like this goes against the grain of every sheepdog out there.
Yep.
I think it goes.
This is
against
so
the grain
wrong.
This goes against the grain to people who aren't sheepdogs too. I think there's a lot of people that if they had the ability to engage, but you look at the guys on the train in Paris.
Dude, very few. They're
no,
military.
But what I'm saying,
they were
one,
sheepdogs.
One was
sheepdogs.
One
and groupthink, right? One acts, others.
I
others
understand that as well. But what I'm saying is, you've had other incidents. Look at the guy who the Florida deputy was about to get killed, and the guy stopped on the side of the road with his gun and shot him. He had no duty. I'm saying there are other people out there who aren't cops that would have done something. This guy was a cop and refused to do something.
Yeah.
And look,
there are some. I don't think that's the vast majority.
I've made the joke, and I've said, look, if this guy was driving home on his off-duty hours and he was driving by a known halfway house and there was an active shooter and he went, I'll call SWAT, everyone would go, okay, you're about to retire. You know, I mean, there's time and a place. When it comes to school, I don't care what your reasoning is, innocent children. And I will argue as a private citizen that, yeah, I give a shit more about innocent children than I do somebody in a halfway house. That's me personally. I have that right. But when it comes to innocent children, I have never once in my life, and I have known a lot of cops, known one who would not have gone in, even if he knew he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. And when I say I know a lot of cops, almost everyone I grew up with is one. It's just a different. It's just
Your
a different
dad.
Yeah, my father. Well, yeah, but that's my dad. I have a jaded opinion of my dad. But I'm kidding.
No, but you come from a family of sheepdogs.
I have a lot of good friends who are. But the simple, and I know also a lot of other people in different fields of public safety who would have gone in and done their job even if there was still. What I'm saying is this guy has no excuse other than the fact that he didn't have the intestinal fortitude to live up to the oath that he took.
He's a fucking coward.
That's what it comes down to.
He's a coward.
And people died because he's a coward.
Yes.
And you know what? I hope he lives with that until the end of his days. I hope that his conscience bothers him forever. I hope it does because it needs to. It's horrific. It's just absolutely terrible. There's another story I want to jump to. Libs beg cops to stop arresting illegals. BZ, you brought this one to my attention, sir. Oh, take it away.
This is an ACLU kind of thing, and let me see if I can find the article on this. Oh, here we go. Beyond sanctuaries.
As soon as you said ACLU, I started laughing. Go on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We so need to
the
join.
The ACLU anymore doesn't even consistently support the First Amendment. If you can't even support would you not suspect that the First Amendment, the ability to speak freely in the United States of America, is a civil liberty? Might any logical thinking individual say, yes, I believe the First Amendment is a civil liberty? And let's see, we're talking about the American civil liberties, ACLU.
Union. That's the catchphrase. If it were the association, they'd totally back that.
This is a story from Washington.
That's why SHR Media is forming the American Civil Liberties Association.
We don't really advocate it. We just we're associating with it on the fringe.
And we can't
We
strike.
don't want to really get in
we
there
can't
to
strike.
it.
We can't strike. We're an association.
Yeah. We have no collective bargaining.
Right.
You're killing him over there.
Just go on, please. ACLU
perfect.
sucks.
You win. You win. That's it. Clint wins.
ACLU sucks donkey. Go on.
Liberals call on police I almost can't say this. Liberals call on police to stop arresting illegals to prevent deportations.
Well, that fixes it. They're no longer illegals.
Right.
Go on.
But now, hang on a second. Why does the ACLU want to help the Trump administration?
Right.
Because if they stop deportations, then they can no longer use that. He deported billions of people, right? So you just uncovered yet another liberal plot that Democrats need to be aware of, BZ. You, sir, just proved tonight that not only does the Democratic Party want people to have guns and therefore true liberals should stop donating, but you just proved that the ACLU wants to help Trump win in 2020 by stopping deportations so that number is lower.
Actually, there's a lot of truth to what you said, which is number one. That's sad in and
My
of
logic
itself.
is infallible, ladies and gentlemen.
And that headline that I just read. That's what passes for cogent thinking.
Yes. Clearly, you
On
can't
the
deport
behalf
the illegal
of
over here.
leftists these days, Democrats and the American media maggots. As far as they're concerned, this is good thinking. Civil rights group said Wednesday that sanctuary city policies aren't enough to thwart President Trump and called on state and local governments to stop enforcing what they deemed low-level crimes in order to keep immigrants off the Trump administration's radar altogether. Low-level crimes, drunk driving. Hey, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. What do you think of that? Huh? Someone that's had a good friend or a family member killed by a drunk driver? Weigh in. What do you think of that? A report for the Century Foundation, a liberal think tank, and the Massachusetts chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union says that even in places where localities have refused to cooperate with deportation efforts, illegal immigrants are spotted by federal authorities when they show up in databases after arrests. So you can only conclude, in order to thwart Trump, we just stop making arrests on immigrants.
Right. So then they're not immigrants anymore.
Right. So now we have another striated class of individuals
that have more rights and
that
protections.
have more rights than residents in the United States. Again, more identity politics and separating people into little groups.
I don't want to be
all over the
arrested.
place.
Well, hey,
I don't want to be arrested because I'm a Red Sox fan.
So the ACLU just became a principal in crimes again as well?
Yes.
Well, and
just like we talked about last week,
all the immigrant defenders are pointing to Mexico, right? Because
they don't want to
that's
go
where
back.
they want to go.
It's racist
not where they
to
wanna
say that they're all coming from Mexico, even though they are all coming from Mexico. So why don't we just
That's not true. There was one from Canada.
Let's just call it. Yeah, there was one.
Herb.
Yeah.
Herb.
Yeah. Yeah. Laszlo. His
And
name. I think
actually,
it was Laszlo.
what he was doing was selling maple syrup without a permit.
That's true. That's true. And he had a beaver.
And a Mount Me hat.
Yeah.
Oh, and he didn't have a license on his moose, eh?
No, he had a beaver under his arm too.
He did.
I did
Hey,
that once.
Is that a visual?
Different story.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to get back.
By
to
the
that.
way, when are we going to go see Super Troopers?
It's not out yet.
We will. We have to go.
We need to broadcast live. Never mind.
No, we can't do that. Yeah,
we broadcast live after.
We absolutely
show.
could afterwards.
So profiling immigrants is bad. and people
No,
are
it's
saying,
not.
"Oh, it's
Oh.
we're getting it's Mexican." So, hey, anytime you see a Mexican, law enforcement, just say, "Go on."
Isn't that reverse profile?
The problem
You can't
is
do that.
now you have to ask them.
outta
Wait,
here.
you have to ask them if they're illegal in order to obtain that information.
Yeah. Are you illegal?
So you don't want, on one hand, you don't want these illegals being asked if they're illegal, but on the other hand, you do want them to ask if
so
they're
that
being
you-
illegal, so you can find out if you should arrest them or
Right,
not.
so you know
There
if
we
they,
go.
So if they qualify for no arrest,
You
we have
now
a
just
no
proved
arrest
that they also
status.
want people arrested, their status to be
Asked at every
questioned.
traffic
Absolutely.
stop by every law
traffic
enforcement
stop.
officer ever.
I'm just doing what the ACLU said. If I don't know he's illegal, how could I not arrest him?
Here-
Wait, what?
Sir, are you illegal? I don't want to know your status, but are you illegal? Don't tell me your status.
Right, I can't know your status. I just
But
need
are
to
you
know
in
if
the
you're
country
illegal,
illegally?
so I can protect you.
What's your status?
Right.
But I don't want to know it.
Have you heard of the city of Los Alamitos?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yay baby.
Los Alamitos, a city in California,
Dun dun dun.
is going to be voting on a measure because there is there is a push for them to resist the sanctuary city or the sanctuary designation. And there's a
But wait, there's more.
There's a quote. The legislation, the council, quote, finds that it is impossible to honor our oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
Because they believe that the state law, quote, may be in direct conflict with the federal laws and the Constitution, not to mention going against their oath of office. And because of this, the Council of Los Alamitos.
Wait.
Yes.
You mean they're upholding their oaths?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yes. So Los Alamitos council members agreed with Jeff Sessions that the laws of California are not only unconstitutional, but also a, quote, plain violation of federal statute and common
It's
sense.
confusing. I can see that look on your face. It's very confusing, is
This
it
is
not?
a California city council.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Did you hear? Orange County is thinking about doing the same thing.
Yes, they are.
Just today.
Is it
Orange
opposite
County-
day?
No. Which actually means yes.
Right.
Because if I say yes, then it's really not opposite. Most that would be no, and logically that doesn't make sense.
That's right. It's like Monty Python's argument clinic.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. This is the most amazing thing in the world. First, I don't want to gloss over this.
Well, hang on a second. I do have to
No, go
hold
finish.
that.
I'm
Hold
sorry.
that. Hold that. Hold that.
Look, if we run a few
Because-
minutes over tonight, I'm fine. Go, because this is a huge story, actually.
it's a
hold
good
that
story.
because there's also a movement gaining ground in California to split California into two states.
Yes,
the coast and LA, and free California.
Basically, it's everything on the left of California,
and it-
including Sacramento County. I noticed
and
in
it
that
ti-
little
and it
map,
ties in.
Sacramento County is part of the leftist central.
Well, that's okay.
California.
I'll see you guys. I'll be in Placer County soon
Fine.
enough.
Yeah.
You can come live with me.
Thanks.
I'm already 2 counties away.
I do want to jump.
qualify. Yay!
I do want to jump back. First and foremost, I know that there are some individual members of government who happen to be very constitutional. You okay over there?
I'm putting my ears up. 'cause I'm
Who
listening
take
to
their
what you're
oath
saying.
and the Constitution very seriously. And I know even in California, there's a couple of those folks that we know personally.
We know
actually,
personally.
and do their job absolutely amazingly and as legally and as constitutionally as possible. It shocks me that a city like Los Alamitos,
That's Spanish for
The Alamitos.
Alamitos, though, for those of you that don't know.
in Orange County,
The Little Alamos.
being right around Los Angeles, which is a huge liberal bastion, to come out and make a brave and actually probably political, well, it could be life ending depending on who gets mad, politically and career ending decision in a state like California.
Oh, that's not decision. Down there, they'll be in power for as long as that's their base. They don't have any aspiration. Or they'll send them to the state legislature.
No, what I'm saying is these individuals there who are saying, no, we're not siding with California.
Yeah.
They're ruining their own careers potentially.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, we'll
Those
see.
jurisdictions, they'll send them. Those are like the 2 Republicans that are in the
No,
state house legislature. And
I understand that, but I mean, it's still a big risk politically. And I applaud them is what I'm saying.
I applaud them.
absolutely applaud them for doing the right thing.
Of course.
That's major league, especially in a state like California. And then, like you said afterwards,
Afterwards.
See, what'll happen to those guys is what happened to the steps down which Hillary Clinton tripped.
Oh, gosh.
Remember, those steps got killed, okay? I don't know if you
Those
know
guys
that.
are not going to get killed. We don't want any violence towards any elected officials.
No, but I mean,
or-
there were retributions on the
On those steps. Yeah.
Because
And
obviously
the bathtub.
they caused Hillary Clinton
She
to
fell
fall.
in the bathtub. So it's gonna beg the question: with all the times that we've seen her slip, bumble, and fall, would she have had more falls in office if she were elected than Gerald Ford? And if so, would Saturday Night Live have mocked her as brutally?
No. They would not have. Nope.
Because I mean, right off
Although
the top,
that'd be a great skit. Harold Ford meets Hillary Clinton.
Gerald. Harrison Ford.
Whatever.
Actually, I
It's
wouldn't.
like Gerald and Harrison.
I wouldn't
together.
mind
If they had a
seeing
love
Harrison
child, it'd
beat
be Harold.
Hillary Clinton because Harrison's
No, Harold
a conservative.
Ford. I said Harold Ford.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I said Harold Ford.
You did.
Is a combination.
Which, if you want to get a new
If you
Ford
wanna-
truck in the
if you
greater
wanna get a
Sacramento
nice
area,
car.
go to Harold Ford.
Don't say that unless they're going to pay us.
I don't know. I've heard they're really nice guys, so whatever. They get a freebie, ladies and gentlemen. They get a freebie. And then the split off. Look, if it ever happened, the state will never approve it. They'll never let that succeed. They'll just never let it happen.
Congress would have to vote on it.
Right.
There's constitutional way. There's a way.
There's
to do
a way
it.
they could do it and,
Yeah.
and recognize them as the 51st state.
Yeah.
Can you imagine jumping away a little bit? Can you imagine Puerto Rico?
They'd be like, really?
Like, son of a bitch!
It's because we're Hispanic, huh?
Right? Why are you doing this? You'll take care of all the white farmers in California, but Jesus.
Yeah.
When was the last time they got hit with a hurricane? You sons of bitches.
Yeah. See? Puerto Rico, you're a financial drain. Sorry.
This just popped into my brain. Did you guys realize
Always
that
a commonwealth, never a
within
state.
The past 2 weeks in
Yes.
South Africa, whites in South Africa were forced to give up
Yes.
their land.
Yes.
And not a peep was heard.
Well, and on top of it all, I think it was the prime minister or somebody in power said, yeah, we're doing this, but we're not going to use force yet.
Yeah.
Against white landowners.
Yeah.
And there was a video from that I
think what
saw
they
in
meant is
Lively.
we're not going to expel them being whites yet. Yet was the operative word. And on the leftists and the American media maggots, this is what I heard regarding that story. Free deed.
Well, and here's the other thing. There was a couple videos that have popped up on, I believe it was Live Leak, which is like a YouTube type site, that showed a white landowner who was supposed to be leaving his property, refusing to leave, and he was essentially lynched out. So, yeah, not a word. Because you got to remember, South Africa's things changed, right? After apartheid went away. Mm-hmm. The new generation came, and there was no hate in their hearts for the people prior, and it was new, and it was loving, and everything was.
That's right. Everyone will
mob
work together.
rule.
It will be multi-culti.
And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be multi-culti, but what I'm saying is sometimes these experiments don't always work out the way people.
Wow,
think
who
they're
could
going
have
to.
seen that coming?
I don't know.
We're 2 minutes over.
Hey, we officially went long tonight.
We
Just
did.
for the record, we had a longer show than normal. That shows you how much we love these people.
On my show, I call that overtime. And I do overtime from now on.
You do overtime every once in a while.
while.
Well, the good part is I went 2 minutes in, so I get 4 hours. So we can cut now, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, no, 4 hours and a meal.
And a meal.
And I think, look in your contract, I think it also includes a tank of gas.
Oh, wait, no, it doesn't, because we're an association.
We're an association.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Son of
no,
a bitch.
it doesn't.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show. Tomorrow night, the Bloviating Zeppelin is back. BZ, who do you have?
Jeff Dunnitz.
Jeff
the
Dunnitz.
Yid with lid.
Amazing
and more buttery
man.
political goodness for you and me and the tree.
Absolutely. The tree loves it the most.
The American Civil Liberties Association.
We'll be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the
Nicely
East
played.
Coast. Make sure you check out all the great shows here on shrmedia.com. .com. Come on, say it. .com. Y'all thinking it. We'll see you next week, folks. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe.
No, YouTube's anti-gun. They banned a bunch of shit.
Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.